And with that, we're going to bring in Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg with us tonight. And, sir, it's good to have you on such a big night. Just want to get your immediate reaction to what we've just seen in the last half hour.
Yeah, Rob, thanks for having me, and it's good to be with you. Look, you know, I'm reminded of so many times when people have not listened to the president, and you just go back with his track record. You know, it's what Shakespeare wrote when he wrote the play The Tempest, past his prologue. When you think what he has written about before he was president, and then when he attacked Assad after they used nerve gas on their citizens, and then he moved the embassy in Jerusalem to Jerusalem from Tel Aviv, then he killed Soleimani. This is something he's done all along. The guy is a living action verb, and the difference is courage. He has done something as a president of the United States that no president before him has done. He not only talked about it, he actually did it. And I think people are now starting to realize this guy really means what he says.
Yeah.
Some of these people, it take a long time for him to get it, but now he's got it. He's got their attention. We've opened up the straits. That's good. Now, on a personal level, do I trust the Iranians? Not really,
no.
But we're going to see how it plays out in the next 2 weeks. They've got a role to play. They now know the president's very serious about it. He'll commit forces if he has to.
Yeah.
He'll bomb if he has to. Now it's back over to them.
Well, and that's, I mean, there's so many questions, right, as this has just happened. But, I mean, the 10-point plan that they talk about now is saying it was a good basis to kind of negotiate with was mostly about sanctions relief for Iran, security guarantees for Iran, new arrangements in the Strait and you know, billing ships that come through the Strait of Hormuz. So it was a very one-sided, you know, kind of agreement on Iran's side. We obviously had a hell of a lot of demands for the Iranians. And I guess my question is, where do you think we fall in that negotiation at this point? Because I think a lot of people are going to look at this and say the president didn't have a move to make. Maybe he just said, all right, let's, you know, it was either this or we bombed Tehran tonight. So I think that a lot of people thought this is where this was going to go. Do you think that we have a strong enough hand at this point to get what we want out of Iran?
Oh, without question. Of course we do. Look, I listened to their foreign minister, Arashi, when he actually wrote a book on negotiations. And they call that in the Middle East, when you deal with him, it's market style. In other words, you and I would call it bartering. When you go to a place and you want to buy a rug, well, it goes back and forth, back and forth. I think they see that, but they also goes back to what I said earlier, that they realize they are now dealing with an individual who's very serious about action. You know, to him, results count, and the fact that acting counts. So I think they now realize that. They realize that this is a guy who's very willing to take Karg Island, to take their oil supply, to take their lifeline. He'll open up that Gulf if he has to. So you're going to do it voluntarily or by force. You're going to do it one of two ways. I think they want to survive, and I think they'll hopefully start to negotiate and realize this is a losing game for them. And it's great kudos to the President of the United States. It's great kudos to our military.
Yeah.
But it's, you know, the resolve is absolutely incredible to watch.
It is. I mean, it's something to see this kind of move in this direction. And obviously, the markets are going to go nuts tomorrow, and the price of oil, I imagine, the futures will drop quite quickly, and there'll be a lot of things that are going to be viewed as very positive. My question is, though, I mean, can we get? Are we going to get Iran to actually give up a nuclear program and to operate in a way where, you know, some kind of oversight is real and not like it was in the JCPOA, where it was an imaginary oversight that just appeased the Obama administration? Are we going to get them to stop funding terrorism in the Middle East? Are we going to get them to be a more Western-facing nation, not fully Western-facing, but are we going to get this country to behave in some sort of a manner that's appropriate and aligned with the rest of the world?
Well, yeah, I hope so. But, you know, this is where I've said repeatedly that it's a change of governance, not necessarily the people in charge, but when you're looking at a theocratic government, one who's chanted death to America, you want to move to a more established type of governance that you're going to have in that country. Right now, they don't have it. You know, a lot of them, the mullahs ought to be back in the mosques. Most of them are now dead, and they're constantly going down the line. You're starting, I don't think you're going to find any real reasonable characters that are going to be working with Iran. They're doing it by sheer threat, and they realize as long as President Trump is in the White House, they're going to face somebody with great resolve. But when you look at somebody like Karachi, who's their foreign minister, or you look at Vahidi, who's the leader of the Republican Guard, these are all hardliners. They're still alive. But they, I think, are realists as well. They realize what's going to happen. And we've gone far enough down the line that some of these people now are starting to say, maybe it's better we get along with these guys. And over time, hopefully you'll have a change of government too.
General Keith Kellogg, we appreciate you coming on, sir. We're going to see how this goes. Obviously, we're about 30 minutes into the potential of a ceasefire here that could go 2 weeks. We appreciate you coming on. Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
You know, everybody's reporting the same stories, the same spin. You turn the channel, it's always the same. But not us. We're different. We report the real news. No spin, just the facts. Turn to us, and you won't turn back.
Tune in to Rob Schmitt tonight on Newsmax.